I will call out one thing, and this is not an issue with the movie or the opening weekend necessarily, but one thing about our experience that wasn't quite white glove this weekend, Clayton.
Oh,
We
it was
saw,
white sock.
well, okay, there is that. So there's a few things. I mean, do you want to talk about the white sock? I had another thing, but we did
Oh,
have
it's what I mean. This guy, this boorish guy, took off his shoes at the
took off his
theater
shoes.
next to
Yeah,
us. You don't
yeah,
take off your shoes. You just don't.
you just
And
don't.
listen, that's not a reason not to go. That's a human
No,
experience. That's a story you can share with your friends. That's why you congregate in groups so you can talk about the one guy, the one absolute, just total. Uh, what would you say about this guy? Just like didn't care what other people thought.
he wasn't going there for white glove service. He wasn't going there. He didn't think he was in Le Cirque. Although maybe this guy takes his shoes off in Le Cirque
He
too.
probably does. He
He
probably
probably
does.
does.
He's that
He
sort
probably
of
does.
guy. But that still is an experience. It's fine. I didn't smell any foot odor. Did you?
I didn't either. I didn't
Okay.
either. You know, maybe this guy, perhaps he saw the "Geez Us" ads during the Super Bowl where the feet are getting washed, and he must have been inspired and washed his feet before he went out there. Because I
Uh,
think I didn't smell a smell. So there was that. But he was seeing it in Dolby with us, so you know he was going for the white glove service.
His ticket's
But
as good as ours.
his ticket's as good as ours, but the thing that I have a little trouble with, and I think I mean, the thing is, this shows just how big this movie was and how well the marketing worked. We went there and we wanted to get the Dune 2 sandworm popcorn buckets.
Mm-hmm.
We were both went there with the intent of each buying a bucket. I was going to buy it to, we both eat the popcorn, but I was going to leave the bucket in my office as something to be in my background for virtual meetings. You were going to gift a bucket to a friend who
Yeah.
could not make it. And in
Yeah.
her honor, we were going to bequeath her a sandworm bucket. And we went to the Lincoln Square Theater in New York City, biggest IMAX, best IMAX in the country, huge theater. They were out of buckets
Mm-hmm.
by Saturday night. They were out of these buckets. And we've all seen the memes. We all saw the SNL sketch. Everyone knows the joke of what you do with this bucket. But Clayton, do you think they were sold out of this bucket? And I assume that also means there were sellouts of this bucket all over the country. Do you think they were sold out of this bucket because of people's desire to honor Dune 2, to remember Dune 2? Or do you think people were using this bucket in other ways and this bucket has become a high selling, a boudoir item?
Well, I mean, yeah. To speak to your first point, I think it's good that this sold out
Hmm.
because and it makes sense because Lincoln Square was the number one theater for this movie in the entire country.
Yeah, New York
Right.
City,
I mean,
huge, best movie going city, and they will be getting a Bo Boys live show because of that.
yeah. And I think they should have ordered more. I think they
Hmm.
should have felt it in the atmosphere that this was a big deal. And I mean, it's not going to make people get a refund from their ticket. So, that's not something that is going to hurt the box office of Dune 2, the fact that people can't buy these buckets. But yeah, I mean, I do think you're going to see knockoff
Hmm.
popcorn buckets on some non-respectable sites. I mean, I think you're going to see a few pop-ups.
Hmm.
Next time you might be browsing,
Right,
on the web,
right.
and I think that's what's going to
Dune 2
happen.
buckets in your area.
Yeah,
That'll be
yeah,
the thing.
that's
Do you want to see a Dune 2 bucket in your area?
and who's not going to click on that?
You got to click. That's the thing.
Yeah,
You got to click. Yeah. I could see there being online shops that are selling, and God only knows what they'll put together. Take an old popcorn bucket and, put a pillowcase inside of it or something like that. Or, I think you're going to start seeing that the way you do outside of huge sporting events when you get down the street from the stadium and there's a couple of guys selling knockoff t-shirts that
hmm
have like basically an iPhone photo of the player, printed onto a shirt. I think you're going to see guys with blankets on the sidewalk selling what they say are Dune 2 popcorn buckets.
And I think there's definitely going to be a moment, a TMZ type moment where someone
Hmm.
runs up to Timothy Chalamet with a bootleg bucket
Yeah. And
and
they're stuck in it.
they want a signature.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's like, that's not real. That's not the one. I'm not signing that. That's not a real bucket. That's a bootleg bucket. That's a
Yeah.
pop-up bucket.
I mean, I think you're going to start seeing videos of people getting their parts stuck in these knockoff Dune 2 popcorn buckets. I think that's going to happen. I think the real ones, they've probably tested them, and unless you're an abnormal size, I think they've tested them so that they know people are not going to get stuck in them. But I
Mhm.
think when it comes to these knockoff Dune 2 popcorn buckets, they're not going to be safety tested. And I think you're going to start to see people getting their parts stuck inside of those knockoff Dune 2 popcorn buckets, and it's going to get ugly out there.
Yeah. I mean, but let's not focus on the negative here
Oh,
because
no,
that's
that's
a
not even
trinket.
negative, and that's not even negative because I think even that shows the popularity and the fact that this movie is a cultural touchstone. I think if we start to see TikToks of people getting their parts stuck in Dune 2 knockoff popcorn buckets, it just goes to show how big this movie is. So I think even that's good because then the
Mhm.
studio can't be sued for that, you know?
No.
If some guy in his garage is getting duct tape and KY and old popcorn buckets and mixing them together and selling them, and people got stuck in there. It just goes to show the demand for Dune 2.
Mhm.